My name is Will Reynolds. I want to say this might be my 5th affiliate summit. I'm glad and thrilled that you guys all came here. You guys challenge me because it makes me try to come up with new stuff every 6 months or so. So we've got all new stuff. So anything that you've seen on YouTube or last 6 months ago or 18 months ago still applies for the most part. But there's all kinds of new stuff that the search engines are throwing your way. So I want to make sure everybody kind of gets up to speed on what's new, what's happening, how you guys can go out there and succeed in search. So first and foremost, I've been doing SEO now for almost 10 years. Thank God, because I don't know what the heck I would be doing if I wasn't doing search. And for those of you that have seen my presentations, I love being interrupted. We got a mic right there in the middle. If you have a question, and that way when we put this up on YouTube, people will actually know the questions that were asked. So I like being interrupted. So you should interrupt me. I know all of you have paid good money, or somebody paid good money for you to be here. And for you to get... All right, I will try to speak a little bit louder. I try not to speak so loud because my voice is naturally loud, so oh well. Gotcha. I can't do a whole lot about that. So if you can't see the screens, try to move out just a little bit, but you'll get the slides. So by all means, it should be pretty easy for you to get the stuff. I think it's already up. So definitely interrupt me. I want to make sure that everybody here that's spending some time actually gets something of real value, and we're small enough here to where you guys can ask some pretty specific questions. The only thing that I ask, and I hope that you all understand, is if you ask me a very, very, very specific question, that only applies to you and no one else in the room, I will try to answer it as quickly as possible, or we can meet for beers later. But if it doesn't apply to everybody, I'm not going to take, I won't spend too much time on those questions because I don't want to waste other people's time. If I give you an answer, I just ask that you kind of go, even if I don't agree with you, I'll go with it for now and challenge me later, just because I don't want to waste so many people's time when we're trying to squeeze so much fun stuff in. So let's first start off. I always try to get an idea because I can skip through slides, move forward, behind. What are some of the challenges that you all are facing here in SEO? How many of you are doing SEO yourselves or in-house? Okay. How many of you are doing it through a third party? A few. Okay. For those of you that are in-house working on this day to day, what are your biggest challenges? Would you say it's just staying on top of all the crazy things that are going on and happening and trying to figure out whether or not cool is even worth your time, what's going on with Google Knoll, things kind of tend to shift around. Is it just trying to stay up on top of all this stuff? Is that what you say is your biggest challenge? Okay, I see a couple heads nodding. I would imagine that link building tends to be the hardest thing. It's some creative ways to get some of these high quality links. We're going to get into a really nice piece here to help you start to determine and find great ways to get good long-term links. Any other things that you guys are specifically running into that I can address? There's a question there? So one of the things that Jay's saying, I wonder by show of hands, how many of you have been doing SEO long enough to remember the good old days when you just put up some words and you ranked well and you were fine, and now you're seeing extreme competition in your spaces? Okay, that's happening a lot. Actually, it's good that that's actually something you brought up. Thank you, Jay, because one of my slides will actually go into actually a couple slides, goes into how to know what you can actually have a chance to rank well for relative to your competitors so that you don't spend hours and days and months and years trying to unseat Hallmark, for e-cards, you know what I mean? So I'm actually going to give a live example of a client that we kind of took that same bend with. They are in the same space as StubHub, and we knew that going after the word tickets or tickets online was going to be a waste with what they were going to go up against. So I'll show that as well. So it's good. I've got a couple of things already primed that should hit some of the issues you guys are running into. Because to be honest, they're the same issues that I'm running into as well. Yes? Ooh. In other words, the idea is to get out from under doing PPC to figure out which keywords to convert. The question revolved around using a tool like SpyFu, which many of you may be familiar with, to determine conversions and high converting terms. It's actually, I don't know anything right now that's a tool that's going to get you that level of data, because obviously once somebody goes onto your site, it's very hard to get information about people going through the conversion process. You might be able to find terms that have a high bounce where it leads people back to the search engine again through something like Hitwise, maybe, because it shows like upstream, downstream. But Hitwise will cost you, what, $20,000 a year? You guys know me that have seen me. I'm all about the free tools that you can use. So hopefully there's no Hitwise people here, but I do a pretty good job at SEO without their stuff. All right, so let's keep this thing moving. So let's first talk a little bit about Google Knoll. How many of you are at least familiar with what Google Knoll is? Ah, good. All right, cool. You got to listen to this stuff. So Google Knoll, and I don't claim to be an expert on it because I don't think anybody can be. It just kind of popped up a couple weeks ago, or about a month or so ago. But what Google's allowing people to do is almost to kind of compete a little bit with Wikipedia in the sense of people can now create content pages that are highly authoritative on topics like SEO basics, for instance. So for those of you that know, I've given out a lot of tools that are on Aaron Wall's site, SEO book. And I've got a couple more that he's recently launched that I'm going to show you today. But you type in SEO basics, you see number 14 here? It's on knoll.google.com, okay? So what's happening is Google is starting to rank not its own content, but other people's content they produced on a Google domain. So you know, for those of you that are producing significant amounts of content, you got to start thinking, how is this going to play into my space? Should I take all of my content and just leave it on my site? Might I want to start putting certain things on Google Knoll, start to develop some how-tos, and then link over to my site as well as other sites? So this is definitely something I think you guys should all have on your radar. The minute Google starts having content on its site and it's ranking its own content well, you should really keep your ears and eyes open to it because it's going to impact you in some way, shape, or form. So I also typed in the word again, SEO basics, actually on Yahoo, and it's the 5th result on Yahoo. So this is a Google Knoll page authored by someone in the SEO industry named Aaron Wall, who runs SEO Book, and it's already ranking top 10 in Yahoo and already in the top 20 on Google. It's kind of like Google ranking its own content in some ways, where they control the ads on the page, etc. So, you know, do you think that Google has a reason to try to rank its own content well? Well, of course it does, because they're going to sell ads on that page. So that's, if they start ranking that well, it's going to start pushing other people off of that first page for certain types of how-to information. So I want to look at it a little bit more in a little bit more depth here. So this is what a Google Knoll page looks like. And you'll notice that I'm showing arrows to the number of comments that are there and the author, the person that's leaving the comments. And I'm doing that because I want you guys to start thinking about the data that Google will use to try to get a page like this to rank well. How many of you were in my last presentation that revolved around future-proofing your SEO strategy? This is exactly the kind of thing that I'm trying to get more and more people to know about. Everybody knows you got to get keywords on the page. Everybody knows you have to do linking. The question is what happens when a Google Knoll page ranks well in your space and pushes you down from that first page onto page 2? Are you prepared? Are you starting to think about what you need to do to promote a Google Knoll page? So what I did is I looked at that page and said, well, Google, what information could Google pull from to allow these pages to actually rank well? One of which started ranking well within about 3 days of Google Knoll's launch. So they are making these pages rank really quickly if they probably cross a certain threshold. So what I'm taking is what I've learned about how to get videos ranked well on Google, and I'm trying to apply that to Google Knoll in the sense of it's very easy for Google to see how many comments a Google Knoll page has received, okay? They can see, oh wow, once you hit a certain amount of comments, this must be relatively useful for people. They could also look at the length of comments. How many of you get those comments that are like, hey, thanks, this is great? You know, they could look at that and go, that's not a high quality comment because it doesn't cross a certain number of characters, okay? You could also think of how many of the comments are from unique individuals. Something I call comment velocity, which is, well, when something's posted, is it getting comments regularly, very quickly, or are they just kind of sprinkling, God bless you, from time to time? The quality of the commenters. So everybody that's on Google Knoll to leave a comment, you've got to have a Google account, okay? So not only can Google see how many comments you've gotten, it can see, well, is it somebody that just signed up once with an account one time and posted something once so that you could get a bunch of comments to it? And can we devalue that? Does it sound pretty plausible that since they have all this data, they could use it to determine whether or not a page ranks well? So obviously what we're going to get into and talk a little bit about is if you decide to start testing this, and I'm just now testing a little bit of it myself, but if you're testing it, you've got to start thinking about how the search engines look at how to determine a quality result with something other than just links and keywords on a page. So we're still on Google Knoll, and I want to show you a little bit more about some of the pieces of an actual Google Knoll page. So next to by, you can see the author name. Okay, so it means that Google obviously knows who's publishing it and how often they publish. You see the rating, so actually once it gets a certain amount of ratings, could that play into whether or not it ranks well? Absolutely. You can also see the comment length, which I have a little arrow there pointing downward to the word SEO, but you know, a shorter article, Google may start to say if an article is less than a certain amount of characters, it's probably not very high quality. And then you're also able to see when it was last edited and how many versions. So all these things should be kind of plausible. Okay, if something has a lot of different people editing it that are all high quality reviewers and posters, then maybe this is something we should allow to rank well in the top 10, top 20. If you don't have, so I'm not saying run out and create a Google Knoll page, but what I want you all to be thinking about is this is where things may be going, and you don't want to be on the wrong side of Google starting to really promote Google Knoll and starting to play catch up, and then you go, oh wow, the content's already there and I don't own it. At least here, you're the author, so you own the content. You can decide whether or not you're going to let other people edit it or not. And it also has this little similar content on the web thing in the lower right, which I also thought was interesting, because then that means that Google's probably throwing in some kind of a content duplication filter on here to see, well, is it worth ranking the site or the page well if it's almost a copy verbatim of something else that already exists? I see a hand?
Which was what my question was. So I write a blog on my favorite boring subject, water desalination research.
Okay.
And so I wonder could I put this on Google Knoll? And your answer is that if it's a copy, that won't fly.
I don't think it's going to. In the same way that content duplication, Google doesn't like it for you to duplicate content anywhere. I'd imagine that if you put it on Google Knoll, the one thing you run into, the fear that I would have of putting my same content on Google Knoll is someday Google Knoll might outrank your site and your original content because it's a Google-owned domain. So I would write new content for Google Knoll, but never mirror the two, because the last thing you want is to push yourself down and instead push people to a Google Knoll page, which will then have ads from potentially from other competitors, as well as you're probably not going to get a Google Knoll page well indexed if you only link to yourself. So you're going to have to link to other people in the industry as well, which will then also give people links to go out to other people that do maybe what you do. So I would recommend that if you're kind of playing around with Google Knoll a little bit, to not mirror your content, one, because it's content duplication, and two, I can imagine that knoll.google.com is probably going to have a better page rank and a higher authority than most of your sites because Google owns the darn thing. So, you know, I would not want to take my good content and my same content and throw it up on Google Knoll and see Google Knoll outrank me to drive traffic out to other sites that are potentially my competitors. And I think part of creating a good page on Google Knoll will have to mean you're going to have to be somewhat, you know, you're going to have to link to other sources other than just your own. So you want to be a little bit careful about what you put in those links. So again, I'm trying to give you guys an insight a little bit into how I look at things like this and try to understand where the search engines are going. So again, what information on that page could Google pull from to determine quality? It's very easy for them to say, oh, well, this poster posted one article once in the last year, and nobody commented on it. Low quality. Or this person posts a new how-to article every 3 months, 6 months. Typically, it gets linked from people all over the net. You know, they have Google Analytics, so they can probably see who's linking to what kind of traffic it drives. Think about it. They've got all this data. Then there are people are rating the video, or not rating the video, rating the Google Knoll page. You've got to think. It's pretty easy for them to go, okay, well, somebody who just registered an account rated this and hasn't rated anything else. I don't see them in Gmail. I don't see them in YouTube. I don't see them anywhere else. They registered one time and then said, hey, this is a great article. Low quality review. Versus someone that they see on there has a Google Reader account, reads a ton of blogs. When they say this is a good review, I think that's going to carry a lot more weight because they have access to all the data. It doesn't make sense for them to not use it to create better results. Does that kind of make sense so far? Hopefully? Okay. Content length I already talked about. I can imagine that at some point they're going to figure out that that a piece on Knoll that has a certain content length and a certain number of comments, et cetera, has a higher likelihood. Google doesn't want to have a bunch of humans reviewing anything. So you've got to think almost like a computer. You've got to think, what can Google take here that won't require a human and get as close as possible to creating a result that could mirror human thought, like if a human actually looked at it. Then you can look at freshness and versions. So if they also see something constantly being edited, added to, etc., they're probably going to say, wow, you know what, there's a lot of other people out there that care about this, and they're also editing it, adding comments, reviewing it, etc. And if it's a Gmail account, they're going to know that you constantly read email. They're going to know that you are all in Google Reader, reading feeds. They're going to know all these things about you, and they're going to probably allow your vote to have a higher weight than someone else's. Because obviously, we all know that it's very easy for somebody to go, hey, I'm going to go create 50 accounts and vote my article up, you know, best. They're going to see that and go, well, none of these people have any history with us, and all of a sudden, they just started voting for this one article and don't vote for anything else. So don't try to game the system. Instead, try to find ways to write great content, of course, and then use your social network. Use the people you know to vote it if they think it's great. Vote it good or bad. I never try to lead people to vote one way or the other. I just say, hey, give it a vote, and if you think it sucks, tell me why. Go in and edit it, change it, and that's how you ultimately, I think, can help to build a good page. I saw a hand here.
Back on the content length, I mean, based on your experience from other pages that are ranked, do you have any ideas on what Google might prefer for content length?
Not yet. I would love to give you an answer on that, but since Google Knoll is so new, we are just now starting to play around with it a little bit. So I don't have enough, there hasn't been enough time. Hopefully next time we get together in Vegas in January, I'll have a little bit more information on it so I can give you guys some of the insights on some of the tests that I'm running. Okay? Sure. And then obviously things like reviewer quality we talked about. The similar content threshold is going to be huge. They already know how similar the content is to other content that exists on the web, and they're showing it on the page right here in the lower right-hand side. So if they already know that, I can imagine they're going to give a big thumbs down to something that they're saying, this already exists on the web. And then there's the inappropriate content flag, and I kind of have like, watch the haters there, because you know these people who are kind of like, this is bad, because they're a competitor of yours. They're the same people who think they can click on your PPC ad 10 times and ruin your budget. You know, so people will try to inappropriately flag stuff. That's why you've got to have a good social network. It's interesting how you take, even with the keynote today, which was awesome, by the way, what Cory Booker was talking about and what Sam Harrelson was talking about. When you create a social network, it's amazing how it can help you do things like play around in Google Knoll and to push down, you know, you get 1 or 2 inappropriate flags. You go out there and make sure your friends are commenting on stuff and editing stuff. So and then that will kind of keep you above the threshold so that you have your competitors flagging this as inappropriate and then have it totally drop, okay? There's a hand? Yep. Oh, you're next. No, the links don't follow through, so they're no followed. The idea is that if Google is starting to rank pages in the top 10 for these kind of how-to Wikipedia-like entries, and so think about it. How many of you have actually entered in a totally fresh Wikipedia entry, not edited one, a totally fresh Wikipedia entry? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 people out of all these people in this room have authored a new Wikipedia article, okay? So think about it. What that tells us, and how many of you have been on Wikipedia? Of course, everybody, right? Good. So you've got to think, there was a time when Wikipedia was a little bit of the wild, wild west. Nobody was on it, and people had a chance to author all this great stuff and build up their profile within Wikipedia. The problem now is that it's kind of saturated. It's rare. I mean, you can add to something that already exists, but it's rare that you're going to be the first person to post something about an individual or a popular person or a popular issue. Google Knoll right now is that opportunity to be one of those first people to start authoring that information that ranks really, really well. Okay? There was another question back there on the right? Never a stupid question.
One of the issues I'm having is a lot of content copying.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote this stuff 10 years ago, 8 years ago, and I'm finding it's not completely word for word verbatim, but they're clearly taking the content and writing. Will Google know that if somebody else, if my competitor starts an old page using my content, will they know who wrote it first?
Good question. So the question revolves around your competitors copying your content and trying to repurpose it a little bit to author new content. How many of you are running into Either, so everybody here's on one side of that. Either they are authoring great stuff that people are copying, or you're the scumbags who are copying people's work and mashing it up and trying to make it your own. So how many of you are on the I author the content, I'm good side? And how many of you are admitted scumbags? I like the fact that somebody said, yeah, I kind of do that. I love the honesty. So here's what I think happens with content duplication. We battle it a lot for some of our larger clients. And I think that Google's going, this is why programming is actually such a critical piece of your SEO strategy. Whenever you put friction in between the way Google likes to receive pages and the way you serve them up, you make it that much easier for somebody else to get your content and then to copy it and make it easier for Google to find it, and now they're going to outrank you and look like they could potentially be the originating source. This is why it is so important to do the basic SEO stuff. If you type in SEO ranking factors, there is a guide out there on SEO Moz where they interviewed like the top 30 or so SEO people and said, well, what are the basic things that you need to do? And it's stupid little easy things like keywords in your URL. So let's say you've got a content management system and it's kicking out, yourdomain.com/article ID equals $?15321 blah, blah, blah. Google says, well, we kind of don't mind that, but we know ideally what they like is if we're to say slash and what the article name is and slash or whatever. Every time you don't follow simple best practices, what you are doing is you're opening up the opportunity for a scumbag to come in, copy your content, try to mash it up a little bit, and then repurpose it because they've made it easier for Google to get to that information. So it's very, very important that you follow basic SEO programming tactics so that you don't end up having a site where it's easy for somebody to come along and copy your content. The other way to stay on top of that is to take minor snippets of pages you develop. 5 to 6 keywords, 5 to 6 words. Drop it in quotes, put it in as a Google alert. And what that will tell you is that anytime anybody uses these 5 or 6 words together in this order, send me an email and let me know. Okay? Have that sent to you daily. It's how we catch people copying our clients' content. Then there is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, DMCA. Okay? And with the DMCA, what you basically do is Google has a section on its site that says if somebody has copied your content, here's what you have to send us. Send us X, Y, and Z. 9 times out of 10, you don't find it that it's being copied. So set up a couple of Google alerts for your big entry pages. You can't do this for every page on your site. It would drive you crazy. So go through your Google Analytics or whatever you use, find your top 10 entry pages from search engines, okay? And then take like 3 or 4 different blocks on that paragraph, because that's how you can catch the people that mash it up, is they may not copy your stuff verbatim, but they might mash up a sentence here, a paragraph here. So you might take 2 or 3 sentences, put them in quotes, so it searches on that exact string. Make sure that quote is like 5 or 6 words long. Try to make sure it doesn't have like symbols in it, like apostrophes and things like that, because it can throw it off a little bit. And then Google Alerts will automatically tell you every time somebody's come along and copied your stuff. Then you just go ahead and set up a process to every time send out the DCMA request to Google so that you're able to protect yourself. Okay? Question? Exactly. It's another way to also catch people that are spamming Google. It's unfortunate, but there's a lot of people out there that do that, and that's the way that we try to catch them. Question?
Yeah, I've got is Google running AdSense on this?
Yes. Okay.
Here's my question. When we start looking at what's going to optimize the site, in the end, really what's going to optimize the result is how much money Google is going to be making on their ads. They're going to control where that content, the result of the content, aren't they?
They could. So in theory, it's the idea that Google's going to do what's in its best interest and the best interest of its shareholders. As some of us that own stock, you kind of want the company that you invest in to do what they can do to get you the most back. Not many of them are doing very well right now. But the idea that Google will, move content up that has the most ads that earn them the most money, idea is something that we can't do anything about, can we? We can't. So I tend to I don't know the answer, but I know that I want to start playing with this a little bit so that I'm in the best position possible. Now here's where this thing totally flips on its head versus Wikipedia. When you author an article, you can choose to some extent what ads show up on that page, and then Google is going to give you a cut of the paid search clicks that occur on that page. That's what I'm hearing. That could change, but as far as I know, and I can't claim to be like an expert on this, but as far as I understand it, that's what Google's doing. Makes a ton of sense. You can control the ads. So one of the things you could do, you're kind of paying for your own ad, but you could do an AdSense buy or a buy in the network, and if you can control it, you could kind of maybe make it your ad that's showing up if you so chose and you wanted to kind of protect yourself a little bit there. But again, this is really new. It's just something that I think everybody here should have on their radar. So one quick thing I want to show you all is sometimes Google gets a lot of, not Google, things like Knoll get a lot of hype. People go, oh, you know, don't get distracted by Knoll, okay? There are very few samples of where these pages are ranking well. Google may decide that it's a huge nightmare to do this and pull it. So don't take away doing those best practices kinds of things that we all know work to go pursue this. However, you want to make sure it's staying on your radar. So one of the things that I'm recommending, and as you guys know, I always give you all my bookmarks and tools anyway, so you don't need to write all these down. But in my browser, you will see this little weird looking thing down here? It's a rank checker by Aaron Wall, who runs SEO Book. You can put it in the domain knoll.google.com, right? Drop in the keyword SEO basics, add it, start it. Now, this is a rank checker right there. It's a Firefox plugin. I mean, I've said this probably, I started saying this like 2-3 years ago. If you were trying to do any kind of SEO and you are using IE, you're nuts. You are nuts. Like, if you are using IE and you're doing SEO, you're probably not doing it very well because there are too many tools out there for you to use that are free. This is free, so how many of you, type in a word and kind of scan the results and 1, 2, 6, 10, next, 14, 15, you add that up over the course of a day, you spend half hour just trying to figure out where stuff ranks. Crazy, waste of time, right? Instead, you can drop this in, you can save the file, and then run this whenever you want. Don't go crazy with this. Okay, so everything in SEO is moderation. You go crazy with this, you will get yourself blocked out of every major search engine. You won't be able to do any searches. So spot check it. So what I would do, if I was watching Knoll, is I would add in knoll.google.com, and maybe just add in 10 keywords or so, and run it once every week. You can save the results as a CSV, and then this will help you know whether or not you individually need to start paying attention to Google Knoll. Because then you'll start to see pages creep up in your space and go, all right, now I should start paying attention to it. Because as you know, with SEO, there's like shiny object syndrome. There's so many different things you could work on. Trying to figure out what's the best use of your time is just one of the hardest things of the whole SEO game. I can't remember how many emails I got the day Cool launched. Oh, what do you guys think we should do about Cool? I'm like, nothing. When's the last time you used Cool to find anything, client A? I never used Cool before. Right, neither has anyone else. Let's think about Google again. So, so don't get the shiny object syndrome here, but the beauty of setting up the rank checker to check this, and you can do this with any domain you want, any keyword you want, is that it will trip you off and let you know, okay, now there's some Knoll pages starting to rank well in my space. There's 2 questions here, starting with you in the back. No. I believe you have to lock it in.
That's unfortunate.
It's the game we're played. You play with the hands you're dealt. But one of the things I love about what you mentioned is using it as a bit of a proxy to see whether or not you're writing something that is unique or different. That's actually a really good idea. So for those of you that didn't hear that, in your name? Rhea. Rhea just had a great idea, so thanks for sharing. I like that. The thought is, and I might play with this a little bit and let you know what I find, but you might be able to use Google Knoll as a bit of a proxy since it's telling you how similar other content is out there. You could post something to Google Knoll for it to give you an idea back on are you writing anything that they see as kind of original. I love that idea. Another question there?
Yeah, she asked the question, part 1 of the question I asked, but I want to
That's as far as I know how it works, that's how it's working, is they give you a cut of the AdSense revenue that's driven from the pages you develop.
And that's operating right now, or that's operating in a future day?
I'm not sure about that. I thought it was now, but I don't want to say for sure that it's definitely happening today, but I'm pretty sure that that's the model. You know, in the same way that Google, before they had paid ads many, many, many years ago, we all knew that eventually the paid ads were going to show up. So I'm not sure if it's the model. I'm not sure if it's what they're doing today, but everybody knows that that's the model and how they're going to try to take over Wikipedia.
The reason one would be interested in writing for this would be not to link back to their own content and raise their rank, but rather as a really great way to monetize
I actually wouldn't use it to monetize. I mean, I don't think people are going to earn that much money from it. I think what it is, it's a way to know what Google's up to, that it's ranking in the top 10. It's no different than ranking a video well, in my opinion. So you want to know how to rank a video well in Google because they're showing videos in the top 10 results. So every time a video goes in the top 10, somebody who was on page 1 drops to page 2 and loses a lot of traffic. So I would just want to keep an eye on Google Knoll, what it's up to, so that then as they are doing things and I see these pages creep up into my space, I will know to start writing content to protect some of my first page visibility. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to kind of move along on this one. So how to get involved in Google Knoll, here's what I believe. You start off by watching, reading, commenting, and voting. Don't write. Don't write anything. It's like going to a wedding or a party and you meet the person that does nothing but talk about themselves the whole time before they've asked you anything about what you're interested in. How many of us love that guy at the wedding? You know, usually had too much to drink, you smoked like a major pack of cigarettes, sorry to the smokers, and then they're talking to you and you're like, oh my God, like you haven't even asked me my name yet, and I'm like 10, 15 minutes deep on what you're doing. Like I have no interest in you, like please, like if I wasn't so nice, I would just tell you to shut up. So that's what happens when you get in any kind of social media or anything like this. If you start off writing before you watch and learn, and you just start participating, you will probably fail. You need to understand the culture. You know, in the same way that Plurk has a totally different culture, in my opinion, than Twitter, that Google Knoll might have a totally different culture than Wikipedia, you don't want to just go in shouting because you're not going to create friends that way. You want to you want to start off by listening, figuring out how these people kind of work, who are the inner circle there, and then commenting on their stuff. Give them something, and then eventually you can always call for a little bit of a favor later. So watching hot trends is absolutely critical. I'll get into it a little bit later, but everybody here knows about Google Trends, right? Yeah, we all know about Google Trends. What many of us aren't doing, actually I don't want to do it on that page. What many of us aren't doing is using the daily trends. How many of you are using the daily trends to keep an eye on what's getting hot? This is like affiliate should love this stuff because you guys can move so much faster than the publishers do with all their bureaucracy and all the crap they can and can't say on the website. Here's an opportunity. So see today's hot trends? I don't know why the Steve Harvey Morning Show is a hot trend for today, but it is. There's a lot of people out there talking about it. You want to know what's happening, what's going on. You click on more hot trends. This happens every day. These are all the different terms that people are searching for in a high volume as of like the last couple of hours, okay? You should be keeping an eye on this through your RSS feed right here, or add it as an iGoogle gadget, so that if something pops up in your space that's getting hot, you can turn content around like that. You can buy paid search ads to drive traffic to it like that. And by the time everybody else figures it out, you're gone, you made the money, and now they're in the competition with 10 other people that are bidding for the same ad. If you are not checking out the Google Daily Trends, not because you want to spam, but because once in a while things pop up here that are already in your niche that you want to take advantage of because people are searching for them like mad. You click on any one of these things, it's going to show you, this was just updated 16 minutes ago. So you talk about like reacting to data quickly. He must have said or done something because, oh, you know what it is? It could be because of Bernie Mac, possibly. You know, the whole Kings of Comedy, Bernie Mac died. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he said something. But you're going to get a trend. Notice, this isn't like a daily or monthly trend. This is like by the hour, basically. So it's showing you the big pop happened. You'll see the blog posts that people are writing about it, the news articles. So I guess it's exactly what happened there. And it's showing you the web results. You want to stay on top of these things regularly so that when something pops in your industry, you can be one of the first people to move and act on it. Okay. Yeah, so people are sharing the AdSense revenue. We talked about that. You know, you want to edit them regularly, and I would say you want to promote the heck out of them. This is why you want to have a good social media following, so that you can have these people kind of start to look at it, vote it, edit it, make it better, all those wonderful things. Aaron Wall created a contest around his null page. That's how he got 50 comments on it. Because I know if I wrote a null page, nobody's really commenting on it. Maybe you guys would be nice enough. But you know, nobody's really going to comment on it at that level to get it to move. So you are going to probably need to prime the pump on this. The odds of you just writing great content and not having a promotion strategy behind it are probably pretty slim. And I know that you can close it to editing, but if you close it to editing, you're kind of talking one way, so you've again become that person that's shouting at the wedding and not listening. So I think that the idea of making it a one, like I only speak to you, is much better for a blog than it is for Google Knoll. Because by encouraging other people to edit it, as a community, you're making it better. And I would imagine that Google says that's a better thing for more people to come along and edit and make recommendations and changes. So, yes?
So if you have it open to editing, if for some reason your competitors come in and try to like hijack it, do you ever close it to editing, or is it once it's open, you never close it?
I think you own it. So you can change all kinds of things in there. You can test it, you can approve stuff, also all that's in there. It works a lot like Wikipedia. In the same way that somebody could go into Wikipedia and try to create like a crazy bad entry, the community typically comes in and shuts that stuff down. Okay? So any questions on that? It's one of the things I just wanted to show you guys because I think it has a potential to create some headaches for people that are heavy content producers. So I would definitely say it's something you should have your eye on. So the next thing I wanted to share with you guys is I think one of the biggest failures that people make in SEO is they go after overly competitive terms relative to what their site can actually go after. You know, you launch a website today, the odds of, in the ticket space, the odds of you going out and, you know, outranking a site like StubHub are slim to none. So I'm just going to read this out loud so that everybody's clear. Obviously, one of the biggest mistakes that people make are when they do their own SEO or even when they're hiring an SEO, but not assessing how competitive your landscape is. And you also have to have an honest assessment of your skill set. I once did an SEO 101 presentation. Oh, you should have seen how empty that thing was. Everybody's like, oh, I know the 101, I know the basics. It's like, no, you don't. There's a lot of simple, basic things that people don't do every day. And I think taking that honest inventory of what you really know in SEO is very important to know what you can or cannot compete with. So, and everybody, you know, you remember, and somebody mentioned it earlier, a couple years ago, you could David and Goliath all kinds of huge companies in your space. They were so stupid, they were so behind. But now most marketers have search in their marketing plan somewhere at these big companies. So it's no longer going to be as easy to unseat the big players. So we're going to try to show you guys some tools to help you to spot low-hanging fruit opportunities that really just require some basic SEO best practices. How many of you have ever heard of a tool called Seo Spyglass? Okay. This one's not free. So I'm sorry. But Seo Spyglass basically runs on the top 1,000 links that are found to a domain in Yahoo. It then will tell you whether it's a blog, whether it's a forum post, what the page rank of that post, what the page rank of that domain is, page rank of the page, et cetera, et cetera. So it gives you an idea on the quality of the links pointing to your competitors. It's a really good tool. I think it's only about $100. So I would say at this point, it's definitely one of the few tools to pay that's actually worth it. So if you're spending money on like Word Tracker or Keyword Discovery, I'm gonna be sitting on a panel with somebody from Keyword Discovery in 2 months. They're not gonna like this. But cut those out and spend the money on this one tool. Because most of what you get from those tools, you can get for free with every other tool that's out there. SEO Spyglass has information that you can't get as easily for free. If for some reason the $100 threshold's a little bit high, or you're not totally sold on that, then there's another tool called Link Diagnosis. Again, and it's still running. I don't like that. Link Diagnosis is free. It's a Firefox plugin. Ta-da! So again, you're using IE, you can't use this tool, and it's free, and it will help you do your job. Get Firefox, install it. It's great. What it will do is then you can sort these results by like how many of the terms that we're looking after are linked to from low page rank sites. That will show you some opportunities. If you see that somebody you're going up against has 10, 20, 30 plus page rank 7 or higher links, there's a pretty good chance that if you don't have that same kind of profile, you're going to have a pretty hard time competing with them. So then you need to know to not go after the big terms and maybe target some mid-tail, longer tail terms until you can start to build up the ability to go after these people, possibly in a couple of years. It sometimes takes that much time. I worked on a site that targeted the word contemporary art once. And it at one point was at the top spot, but it took us 2.5 years to get there. So the way that we kind of did it over time is we started working on longer tail art terms, things that revolved around mixed media or whatever it might be, and those started to rank well and drive traffic. So then the mixed media people started talking about this section of the site, links, 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 links. Then the people that did, landscape art said, wow, this is really great. We were able to get it ranked well. Links, 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 links. So then after a while, we started building up our link profile on the long and mid tail to the point where we then could actually compete with museums and and colleges that have art displays. But you've got to kind of be realistic about what you're able to actually achieve so you don't drive yourself crazy with SEO. So again, some of the questions you want to see or ask yourself is, well, how do you stack up against these competitors? Are most of the people that are linking to them ranked well? Do you see them ranking well with pages that are 2 or 3 levels away from the homepage? Are they all home pages? So when you drop a term into Google, you want to rank well for. If you see almost everyone else is ranking well with their homepage, you can believe it's going to be relatively competitive. On your homepage, let's do the audience participation segment. How many homepages can a website have? Thank you. Wow, people are asleep. Wake up. No, 1. So, it's like an adult question, and I don't ask those questions to be facetious, but your homepage, you can only have 1. So it's the most important page you have. So if you see nothing but homepages ranking well for a term you want to target, and you've got that term targeted to a page that's 2 or 3 levels away from your homepage, you're probably not going to rank well for it. So it's one of the things that you should check to see whether or not it's a term you can really target.
Hey, Will?
Yes?
So what about the people that always say, 'cause I hear it a lot, that your homepage doesn't matter, it's your landing pages that are the most important. So
Okay, so the question is it your landing pages that are most important or your homepage? I'm a homepage guy. Because you can create 1 million landing pages, and
that's why I like the homepage.
everybody knows that. You can only have 1 homepage, and you can't target 50 terms to a homepage. So you've got to be selective and take your most competitive terms and target them to your homepage. And then the other pages, so this is why you've got to go through this process of seeing how competitive the different terms are ranking well and how they're doing it, so that you know how to architect out your site so that your most competitive terms are on the homepage and the pages directly linked from the homepage, and the ones that are a little bit less competitive, they can go further and further down because they're long tail. So it's an important thing, because if you target long tail words on your homepage and instead target short tail keywords on subpages, you're really messing up your SEO strategy, because your homepage is the one that has the most power. Most people link directly to your homepage, not to your sub or deeper pages. So it's got the most inbound links, you can only have 1 of them, and you can't target every keyword under the sun under it. That's why I tend to try to work on homepages a little bit more. Another check is if you run a search and the majority of the sites ranking well are household names, you're gonna have a hard time trying to beat those guys out. So if you see Wikipedia, Amazon, Best Buy, Circuit City, JR, you got to think to yourself, okay, well, what are the odds of me outranking Best Buy, Wikipedia, and Amazon for the keyword electronics? Pretty slim. So don't waste your time and start with something that's a much more niche, much more long tail, and then slowly build that up over time. And I got a couple of great tools that we will go through. So I first want to tell everybody, beware of the SEO myth. Every site ranks well for something, okay? So don't think that you're doing a good job because you've got the word green shoes on blue people ranked well at #1 spot in Google, because nobody searches for it. Remember, this is a game that's about revenue, and it's traffic and revenue. It's not just rankings. Get your ego out of search. Don't use it as a bragging tool to sit around with your friends and go, 4, by the way, yeah, I typed this in on Google, we're #1. Because that doesn't mean anything. Is it driving traffic? Is it driving sales? But so many of us tend to attach our egos to how high we got something to rank. Next time somebody tells you how high they're ranked on Google, ask them this question and watch them go, I don't know. What did that actually do for your business? At the end of the day, very few businesses stay in business because they got a high Google rank. That Google rank needs to lead to something that people are usually buying to make it ultimately do something for you. Yet no one talks about that. Everybody talks about where they rank. So do not fall for the SEO ego thing, because it'll kill you. Usually what that leads to, it leads to you targeting long tail terms to boost your ego and make you feel good about yourself that nobody's typing in. So it's not going to help you really grow your business. And I hope that doesn't sound too harsh, but it's true. I have seen people target the most long tail terms to prove to themselves they're good. I'm great at SEO. If you type in, Great Valley, Pennsylvania, SEO company, we're the top 1. And you're like, population's 10 people. Like, what what do you think you're going to do with that? Nothing. So you're better off being ranked number 20 for the word Philadelphia or your metro or whatever than to be ranked number 1 to be able to go into somebody's office and brag that you got a high ranking. It's a shame, but people do it all the time. So since link diagnosis is taking a little bit of time, because I picked, of course, a ridiculously competitive high link to domain, my bad, I've got the screen cap. So when you run link diagnosis, if you have Firefox, these are the kind of things that it will show you. See the backlinks here and the page rank? So it's off to the, so I'm kind of pointing to it, but right, you see, hopefully you see where the backlinks are, right underneath of this box. And it shows you the URLs. Look how many of these are household names. So if I'm trying to compete with Aaron Wall and rank well in SEO terms, I'm thinking, do I have links from Copyblogger and Search Engine Journal and Search Engine Land and, you know, Matt Cutz's website and compete.com? No. So if I'm trying to compete with Aaron Wall, I'm probably going to fail, no matter how hard I try, right? Thank God there's no cloning, or I'd be out of a job, because everybody would work with this guy. But no, you think about it. So you've got to do this analysis to even figure out if you can even play in the game or compete with the people that are ranking really, really well. And if you see they have all these high page rank pages with, you know, you see under link type it says good, which means it's just no followed. And then you see how many links are on those pages and the strength of those pages, which is some number they just come up with. And then it's got the pagination below that, so you can go deeper, deeper, deeper and sort by these. You got to get an idea of what you're up against. And this is one of the easiest tools that is free to let you know what is actually attainable, okay? It also shows you, which you can't see here, but down below it shows you PageRank distribution. So it's telling you how many of the sites linking to them are PageRank 9, 8, 7, 6, etc. Compare that to yourself. If all of your links are, or the majority of your links are none, 1, 2, and 3, but yet the people that are ranking well, not the majority, but they have a significant amount of more 7s, 8s, 6s, and 5s, you should basically know that whatever terms you're targeting against those people are probably not worth going after just yet. Not never, but just not yet. Target the mid and the long tail for now, where you can make some successes with a not as great link profile, build up your profile over time, and then you might be able to target or compete with those guys. So let's talk about what I get from this tool. You find high-value backlinks. It's a great way to find out, well, who's linking to my competitor that is highly valued? Is there a way for me to talk to them? Is there a way for me to get a link from them? Obviously, sending them an email that says, would you link to me? Ain't going to get you a link. You got to find an angle. It's why you start off by listening and not by shouting. Then you can find areas and opportunities to get yourself in. We've already talked about what are the real odds that you'll be able to get some similar links, if not the same ones. How many just raw number of links do they have? This tool also tells you the anchor text. You know, is the anchor text linking to this site using the keywords they're targeting? If so, you've got to think, well, is there a way that I can also get that much anchor text on top of the high-ranking, high-page rank type of sites? We've already talked about how does your page rank distribution compare to theirs, and how do you compare on things like deep links, because it'll give you that. Things that I love about this tool, you can sort the columns. So it doesn't just give you a flat page. You can sort by page rank. You can sort by how many links do they have. You can sort by how many of their links are no followed. You can do all that. And then you can export it into CSV. If you're an Excel pro, things that export to CSV will be great, because then you can drop a macro on the spreadsheet, and it will do a significant amount of your analysis for you. So if you're not an Excel whiz yet, bump up your Excel skills, because you can bring this data in one time and have it automatically strip out all the stuff you don't want. Okay, so if it's less than a page rank 3, pull it out. If it has more than 100 links on the page, I think that's low quality, pull that out. And then it just comes back to you and takes this big long list and boils it down to just some targets you can go after. There was a hand, I thought there was? No, okay. You know, the tool doesn't do any interpretation of the theme of the site. So what you don't want to do is just run with the fact that Amazon's ranking really, really well in your niche, well, or Wikipedia. It doesn't do anything around the theme. Sometimes Wikipedia, as you guys all know, just so happens to rank well in every freaking keyword out there. So sometimes you look at that, are you going to be able to compete with Wikipedia? No. They're in the top 10. Don't even think about unseating them. I would always say, you know, people don't like to do it, but sometimes you got to target the longer tail if all of the major terms in your niche are being ranked well for by home pages of household names, especially. How many of you are using SEO Quake here? How many of you love SEO Quake here? I love it. It is a great tool. Again, Firefox. If you have Firefox, they actually built one for IE too. Why, I don't know. But what it does, and I'll see if I can show you a live example. So let's search for the word SEO consultants, right? Now, you'll notice, see these little sort bys? I can sort the top 10 list here by things like, well, show me the one that's got the most links pointing to the domain. Click, done. Okay, so, and then it's showing me down here that this one has 34,000 links pointing to the domain. This helps you know what you're up against, okay? What about the Alexa rank? What about the age of the domain? How often is it mentioned in Delicious? Does it have a Google sitemap? So there's all these different things that you can sort by. Traditionally, I would recommend you go after about 20. So change your preferences to 20. Don't change it to 100. You'll probably get yourself locked out of Google within about 5 or 6 searches. Because what this thing does is it's going out and pulling the PageRank, pulling the links from Yahoo, doing so many things at once that if you hit it that hard, if you hit the search engines that hard with this data, they will put a block on your IP for a while, and then you can't really do any searches. So be cautious. But the beauty is that typically you have your terms listed. The old way is to click on each one, find out how many links do they have, next one, click, find out how many links they have. This is pulling all this information in for you, and then, append to a file. Great, I can now dump this into Excel and manipulate the heck out of it and figure out what's, so of all these sites, which one's the oldest? Sort, filter, boom, great. Anything that's over 3 years, show me those. Anything that's got over this many mentions in Delicious, show me those. So then you start to find the highest quality links out there, and then you can start to go after them, okay? Love things that export to files. Like I said, be a little bit careful because you can get yourself in a little bit of trouble in terms of how many automated queries you're running. Here's another thing that I love about this. They have made it open for people to write other tools for SEO Quake. So of course you see all these, Google, PageRank, blah, blah, blah. You can also pull in the cache date, which I love as a factor of whether or not a site is important. You can even pull in things like the Yandex index, Yandex links, Alexa rank, Delicious, Technorati, Dig. So I don't have all of those on there. But what they do is they've opened up the code for the plugin to allow people to put in different things. So for some reason in your space, you need to really get hot on Dig, you might want to add in Dig mentions to your toolbar so that when you kick out the CSV, it shows you which sites are getting the most mentions in Dig, okay? You can also do Technorati and all the other things. Heck, if you're trying to compete in a Chinese market, they actually will let you bring information in from Baidu as well. So there's so much information there that you can pull in that will allow you to better understand what you are up against. Yes?
Can you take a few minutes to explain Google PageRank and what we can do to increase our PageRank?
Sure. So the question revolves around Google PageRank, okay? And what can we do to improve it? My Google PageRank just went down 1. Okay? So, and I didn't care because this is why SEO in general should look at traffic, leads, and sales. Because the minute you start to look at PageRank, how many companies are in business because they have a high PageRank? Think about the things that people say to their shareholders. When's the last time you've seen a stockholder report where they go, yes, we're a great company to invest in because this quarter our PageRank went to 9. Nowhere, right? So I almost ignore PageRank because I look at the bigger factors. So obviously traffic is very important to us. So I look at the fact that our PageRank dropped, and I went, well, what the heck? I just wrote something that got linked from Search Engine Land, SEO Book, and all these other great places, yet our PageRank went down, and I go, you know what? I don't have time to worry about it because all the other business metrics are okay. So I would say don't worry too much about trying to increase your PageRank. It's kind of counterintuitive that the site I just mentioned, SEO Book, that's so great and so grand in our space, linked to our site, and our PageRank went down after the next update. Just doesn't make sense. So that's why I try not to chase those things too much, because you'll end up spending all this time researching PageRank, when in actuality, as long as it's not negatively impacting your traffic. And because Google knows people are a little bit nutty about PageRank, they've done things like they update it, but they don't update it publicly for 3 months. So people think their PageRank's down and they go to change things, and Google's like, your PageRank would actually be fine. It's become such a distraction, unfortunately, in the industry that Google stopped updating it as frequently because people went totally nuts about it. And actually, Google is starting to devalue PageRank in their algorithm. They've done that for a while. There was a hand back there?
What about giving backlinks from higher PageRanks?
I try to get backlinks from everybody because none of them really hurt. So if I've got, I definitely want to target and use a tool like SEO Quake for me to understand who has the highest PageRank links so I can start to develop some strategies to get them. But I'll take a link from anything. I'll take a link that's no-followed. I tend to believe that the YouTube channel that we have that has a big fat no-follow on that link somehow actually helps us to rank well for the terms we rank well for. And I could be totally wrong. But I tend to believe that Google's going to look at our YouTube channel and go, you've got this many subscribers, this many views, this many comments, this many ratings, and you're linked to this site. Why would they ignore that? Why would they ignore all of those votes by all these people all over the world because it's no followed? I think some of that stuff has got to creep through because I know, this is a bold statement, but I know that if I was running Google, I would say, how can I use things that people can't easily manipulate to help me figure out who should rank well? And I think the number of votes from the number of people, from unique people, the velocity of those votes, all the things we talked about with Noel, same kind of idea. So I think even if it's no followed, it's a good link to go after. Even if it's a high page rank site, low page rank site, no followed, followed. I just tend to believe that by getting a significant amount of links out there on your topic and on your theme is always going to be a good thing. And there's a question?
Yeah, now you just mentioned that, with PageRank, that Google might be like updating the PageRank internally and not like publicly doing it, so people are not, like crazy over it. I've also read that they're doing that with the links, like for example, when you type in your link and website, about the links that they show. And,
Oh, absolutely.
and I really, I wanted to ask you because, for my site, I'm really confused right now. Because for the links that actually, if I type a link at the website, my website,
I know what you're saying.
we show like 2 links.
Right. How many of you have run into that problem where you type in link colon in your domain on Google and it shows like 18 links? It's why you never use Google to show your links. If you want to know who's linking to you in Google, install the Google Webmaster Tools and get that information.
Okay, that's where I get it from.
So that's the best you can do.
I'm basing it from the information on the Webmaster Tools because on that one, of course, when I have to report to my boss, it's like, yeah, Oscar, but we only have 2 links. So what's going on?
You need a new boss because your boss needs to look at revenue and traffic. He needs to stop looking at how many links we got. When people ask me questions like, well, Will, how many links do you get us a week? I go, you know what, you're probably not the right client for us, and here's why. Because if I get you a bunch of links and it doesn't lead to more revenue for you, somebody's going to lose their job eventually. So get your boss to change the way he thinks about how to properly assess your work because he's looking at the wrong thing. He doesn't get paid in links, right? You get paid in dollars. So you've got to make dollars for him to make dollars. Don't just go get him a bunch of links. It's not in his best interest. So again, and quickly, because I know we're as usual, getting really close to over. Just the thing to be careful of is don't get blocked out of Google using this. The fact that, again, that tool also lets you export in CSV. Run your macros on it and have the macros filter down for you the top sites. And sometimes you want to put those in your feed reader, stay on top of what they're up to, and then once in a while they'll write something that you can kind of go, cha-ching, I actually have some expertise here. And so don't go in shouting and trying to leave a comment right off the bat. Instead, kind of sit there and watch how things are going over time, and you will eventually find an opportunity to get that great link. What you don't want to do is start off shouting, and then they're like, oh, I've seen you before. You're a freaking spammer, so that by the time you had something of value to actually add, they want nothing to do with you. So tread lightly, because there's not a lot of PageRank 7s, 8s, and 6s out there. So you want to make sure that you don't screw up the opportunity to go after them and get them. All right, so I'm going to show you how, for a client of ours, we actually targeted the middle and the end of the tail for them to create some great results. They sell tickets. And when you look at words like Super Bowl tickets, buy tickets, sell tickets, etc., popular basketball teams, of course, anybody here that knows me, I've got to throw an Eagles reference in every presentation. There was always an Eagles reference. Philly, go Eagles. But what we did is we decided to target the mid-tail and the end. We started, instead of saying we're going to go after words like tickets, buy tickets, sell tickets, we said your site's too new. You don't have the link profile to go after the big boys or girls. So let's target words like Chicago Jazz concerts. Let's target words like things to do in this city that StubHub and all those guys aren't even thinking about, right? What we were able to do is actually get them a double return on their investment by just targeting the long tail. So again, what we're not doing is targeting a bunch of terms nobody's searching for. We're targeting terms that they can create almost like a template for. Things to do in New Orleans, things to do in Philly, tickets, theater tickets in Philadelphia. And we created these like templated pages that were dynamically updating with their content that they had, and then they brought in a writer to write things to associate with that content, and now they're actually ranking well for some of these, and there will come a time, hopefully in the next year or two, where we can start to go after someone like a StubHub. But by using tools like SEO Quake, you look at their link profile, you use link diagnosis, and you realize StubHub has like a homepage link from eBay. I'm not getting a homepage link from eBay, so I might as well move on to something where I can create some value instead of banging my head against the wall for a word like sell tickets or buy tickets. And because we're going a little bit long, I will skip past this. Okay, so for those of you that aren't aware, Google is now giving you numbers, actual numbers on search volume, okay? So while Yahoo's gotten rid of the tools that do that, Google is giving you real numbers. You don't understand how important that is. If you type in, I believe, Google keyword tool in Google, first listing, of course, is this tool. You want to make sure you do a couple of things so that you don't act on incorrect data. The first thing I'm showing is this drop down, and it'll show you all kinds of stuff related to search trends and all that good stuff. The big thing you want to look at is see, if you look here where it says keywords, advertiser competition, approximate search volume July, et cetera, see where my match type says exact? You have to put the match type on exact to get real numbers for that term. Because if you leave it on broad, or if you leave it on phrase, it's not just looking at the keyword volume for that one term, it's going to aggregate and throw into that number people that it searched for the word shoes, green shoes, red shoes. If your thing is tennis shoes and you just drop the word tennis shoes in and somebody searches for a brand that you don't carry or something like that, that's all going to come in here unless you use exact match, okay? But for the first time in forever, Google is giving us real numbers, which I can't tell you enough without you having to be a paid search advertiser or something, how important that is. And again, you can kick that out in a CSV and then really manipulate the data. Okay. So then Google Trends has Google Trends for websites. How many of you have seen this? This just launched recently. So before, you had Google Trends for keywords, and they never gave you the numbers. They just gave you a relative chart, which doesn't tell you if a doubling went from 2 to 4 or from 200 to 400. You never really knew. Now they're actually giving you Google Trends for websites. So what that means is you drop in your competitor's website, put a couple commas in, put in a couple other people, it will trend out their traffic. It will also trend out what other sites people tend to visit. That might be a way to start figuring out what sites are an authority, because Google's not going to show the also visited sites if they think they're garbage websites, right? The last thing I love, and I've used this to do tons of competitive intelligence on people, is it's telling you what keywords drive the highest amount of traffic to their site, is the third bar graph over there. So if you're competing with somebody and you're like, I wish I knew what keywords drove the most traffic to their site, this gives you a really good indication. Because I tested it with a group of friends. And I said, well, Google Trends is telling me that your top words are X, Y, and Z. And they all wrote back and went, yeah, those are my highest traffic terms. I went, cha-ching. So obviously for them, I won't use it for bad. But for you guys, this data is out there. Just get it. And think about it. I'm trying to show you all tools that all drop into a CSV. Because if you get really good at using macros, you could run a CSV in link diagnosis, you could run one in Seo Spyglass, you could run one with SEO Quake, you could run one for Google Trends, and just mash it all together and give yourself one overall competitive dashboard of your clients based on the different data points they are able to bring in. Okay, a couple of quick things. We already talked about the first. Use regions. I can't tell you enough, like if you don't offer your service in the UK or in a global, you want to make sure that you use the little drop down in the top right to say only show me things that are in the United States, okay? Because otherwise it's going to skew your data and you're going to make wrong decisions. It also can tell you what foreign markets to possibly go into or to pursue or where there are opportunities. And you want to typically break down the trends in year. You want to break them down month over month, and you want to break them down by the last 30 days because they each give you different levels of detail. MSN has the Ad Center plugin. I've talked about it before. How many of you are using the MSN Ad Center plugin? Yes, some of you. If you don't, this is the only reason you should upgrade to Excel 2007 is the speed at which I can do keyword research. So if I take the word cars, actually, why don't somebody give me one of their top keywords they're going after? Just shoot one out. Public records. This one could be hard. See, by speaking up, you get free consulting, my friend. All right, let's do your contained. Now, I'm just doing this in Excel. Boom. Okay, free public record, Broward County, free public record search, Florida, Arizona, Palm Beach. See how quickly that came back? I'm in Excel. I can start filtering this thing down like crazy. This is coming from MSN, so I can now highlight free public records, okay? Right-click it. Tell me, you know what? Why don't you give me the monthly traffic on that? Run. Boom, back. Here's my trend on MSN, how often they're searched for, July, September, etc. I can right-click on that term again, Go back to ad intelligence. So you know what? Give me the geography of people that search for this term. Runs, comes back. Boom, done. United States, United Kingdom, Puerto Rico, Canada. Right click, ad intelligence. Give me the demographics. It's the MSN Ad Center plugin. Boom, it's telling me my male-female split, it's telling me my ages, and it's telling me the date range that it did it over. This is free. Kind of. Kind of free. What's that? Yeah, it's going out to MSN servers. I sat on a panel at PubCon in Vegas last year with the MSN rep when she launched this, and I was like, oh, this is good. See, only a big nerd like me gets excited over this stuff. My poor girlfriend. But I was like, wow, this is awesome stuff because you're in Excel. So typically, think about what we just went through. Link diagnosis, SEO quake, and you still want to do them because this tool can be wrong. But these are real numbers from MSN. You use all these tools, and then you're like, damn, I got to mash them all together and whatnot. With this, it's already dumping it in Excel. You have to upgrade to Excel 2007 to use this tool. Get one off of eBay. The other thing about this tool is you have to have an MSN account with their paid search, whatever. So drop 10 bucks in. They're giving out those free $25 coupons like crazy. Sign up the account with the $25 coupon, and then start using this tool. It's great and it's free. All right. I'm going to go through this quick. I know I'm over time, but this is something you guys have to see. You've got to get smart at using keyword searches in Google Advanced Searches to help you find linking opportunities. So now let's start talking about some linking. I don't know how many of you use things like site colon. So I'm using this advanced search, which is all in URL, which says for Google, show me anywhere where the words Duke and basketball are in the URL, okay? Somewhere in that keyword string or in the file name or something. Show me that only on sites that are a .edu. It's an advanced query. It comes back to me. Number 3 is a blog. If you don't want to learn all the different intricacies of the Google Advanced Query, all you got to do is go out to Google, go to Advanced Search, and then you can say, here's the word I'm looking for. Do I want it to be the exact word? Do I want it to show pages that don't have this word in it? Then you can click this, and you can say, you know what? Only show me things that show up with this criteria in the last 24 hours, in the last X number of weeks. You can say, only show me where the keywords show up anywhere on the page, in the title tag of the page. Everybody here knows or should know. The title tag is the most important thing you can change on your site to help you rank well. Typically, it's an on-page factor. So you might say, you know what? I don't just want the words to be on the page. I want to see who's got it in the title tag in the last 2 weeks. That's on a .edu, et cetera, et cetera. And it is allowing you to do all of that. See, here's where I would put in the .edu to say only search those. So if you don't learn all the different modifiers you got to put in to make this successful or to make this work for you, you can just use this on Google to help you find some great results. Look at what I found. So I found somebody's blog on Duke.edu that talks all about Duke basketball. If I am working with my ticket broker client, do I want to just go out and buy a bunch of links on random people's sites? I want to find students at the top schools, throw them a contest or something to see if I can figure out a way to get links from people at Duke to link to my Duke page. Got it? Good. So while some people just see, oh, you know, it's a link, I see these guys. They really like free beer. And they have no money. Think about it. Links, contest. These people have no money and love free beer. How can my ticket broker client figure out a way to create a contest or something to get these people to link over to his site? Possibly with some kind of an affiliate thing. Think about it. This is the difference between strategic smart linking. I use queries. Okay, think about it. I just use queries to help me find this. It's not like I'm doing some kind of superhero stuff. I just use advanced search queries to find this information and look at what it's bringing back for me. Here are some types of advanced queries. Look for things like, you know, take your keyword and then do the word companies with it along with your city. Are there lists out there of people that are talking about companies in your area, in your city? If there are, and they're not linking to you, opportunity, especially if you're trying to do local search. Think about using wildcards, like top star Firefox extensions. So if somebody abbreviates it FF, you're going to miss it, but it's going to catch your top 10, top 25, top 101, top 50, whatever. All these people out there are talking about it. If you build a Firefox plugin, you've just found, and then you use SEO Quake to list them, who's got the highest page rank, who's got the most inbound links, et cetera, and you go, wow, you know what? These 50 sites that all have top something Firefox plugin are all ranking well, have great link profiles. We've got a Firefox plugin. Just write them all. Write all of them. Hey, I noticed you don't have ours on your list. Would you be willing to review it in your next so-and-so? You do that to 50 people, there's a good chance that you're actually going to get 10 or 15 of them to actually link to you and start talking about your plugin. These are simply just advanced search queries. And I did have to give a shout to Rand Fishkin and Ann Smarty, who really have been pushing this. It's not totally like my idea. There are things that you can search for. So when I see where it says search for sites mentioning you but not linking, here's an advanced search that I gotten from Rand. I search for my name, minus link domain. This is in Yahoo. Minus link domain, our domain, minus site ThinkSeer, because we don't want to show our own results. So what I'm saying is, who's got the words Will Reynolds on their page, that is a page that Yahoo has indexed, where they don't, minus, have a link to thinkseer.com, and it's not our own site, because we don't want results from our own site. That query will show me all the people out there talking about me who aren't linking to me. I don't know what you guys would have to say about me, but most people say pretty nice things about me. So it's really easy to say, hey, I noticed you were talking about the presentation you went to, yada, yada, yada. I hope you enjoyed the tools or anything I can help with. By the way, I noticed you're mentioning us, but you didn't link to us. Easy way to get a link with a freaking query. This is not going out there and searching for your name and click, 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 click. It takes too much time. This is how to use a query to help you do your job better, quicker, and more efficiently. Last one is cool as all get out. So you use link domain, not with a minus in front of it. These are all Yahoo searches. These last two are Yahoo searches. You don't put a minus, because the minus in front of link domain tells you that isn't linking. You just do link domain, your first competitor, then you do space, link domain, your second competitor, your third competitor. Run that search. It's telling you it's going to find for you any site that is talking about 3 of your competitors and not you. Why? That is when you see Mashable talking about the top 25X or top 5 this or Lifehacker. And you're like, wait, these guys are my competitors. You're talking about all of them. You didn't even review us. Now you're getting on someone's radar at a prominent blog to help you get high quality, good links. These are the kinds of things that we're doing, and I'm sharing with you guys, because you guys know I share it all, to help you guys run queries so you can be a little bit smarter about how you go about finding links. Then you drop them into the SEO Quakes of the world and whatnot, sort them all out, and then develop a strategy to go after them. Notice, this is not buying a link. This isn't buying a link from some site somewhere, pay us $9.99 and we'll go get you 30 links. That crap will only work for a limited amount of time. You want something that's going to work well for the long, long, long term, so you don't have to worry about this stuff every day and can kick up and drink Mai Tais on the beach. All right, so now if we take all this together, I ran a link, a very basic one, on Google's blog search. I ran a link colon and our site, okay? I wanted to see who in Google's blog search was linking to us. I have SEO Quake running so I can sort them on the fly and see who's the big guys, right? Notice on the left-hand side, I can sort now by how many of them wrote about us in the last hour, last 12 hours, last day, etc. And then what I love, cha-ching, is the alerts. You can now actually subscribe to the alert. So now you don't have to search for yourself all the time. You just have it tell you whenever somebody out there on a blog is talking about your domain and not linking to you. You don't just have to do this for yourself. You can do this for a competitor. You can do it for a couple of competitors. And then see if there's people out there talking about them and not reviewing your site, your product, your service, etc. So I've gone through all these, which is great because I know we're way over. You'll get the presentation, so I don't really need to go through the top 10 ways to get EDU links. And I've got a gift for you guys. I talked to Rand Fishkin at SEO Moz before I came, and here is the code, only for the people that have actually been here in this presentation today. And it'll get you 20% off, I think it's for like the next 2 weeks, for an SEO Moz Pro account. I'm not an affiliate, okay? I'm an SEO guy. There is absolutely no reason for me to tell you to use these tools other than they're some of the best tools you can use out there. A lot of the information that came from this presentation comes from conversations that I'm reading on SEO Moz, or things that I'm getting from those guys, and they share a lot for free, but they're the only tool that I actually kind of endorse and say, you know what, this is actually a good tool. If you're going to spend $300-ish, $399-ish a year, you're going to get it back by being there. They've got a great competitive analysis tool. So all the free stuff I told you about, think of the value of your time. You could drop the URL in, and it'll come back and tell you what's most competitive. And I just wanted to say thank you. I'm Will. This is my URL. I'm all over Twitter. You can follow me on FriendFeed. My Delicious account, I post everything that I find that I think is good to my Delicious account, which means you can just follow it. You can go to it right now. I added some things this morning. I usually add stuff every 2 to 3 days. I'm adding the stuff that out of the freaking 150 blogs I read, I'm adding the 1 or 2 things every day that I think are good. It'll cut down the amount of time you've got to spend reading those same blogs. You can steal from me on YouTube. Go to YouTube, there I am. All this information is out there, so feel free to take it and or give me a buzz. For those of you that know me, I will try to answer questions. So if you have any questions today, you want to grab me, you see me, easy. If you don't see me and you have some crazy burning question, I can actually answer it kind of quickly, drop me a line, drop me something on Twitter. I can't tell you when I'll get back to you because I'm traveling a lot lately, but I will not delete it and I will eventually get back to you with an answer when I can. And if you take one of my cards, any of the links that I have here, if you didn't want to write them all down, I will send them all out to you guys after I get back to Philly. Go Eagles. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. And feel free to ask any questions.